The corridor pulsed with low violet light, and the air carried that sterile tang only deep space vessels knew. The assassin moved without sound, her boots making no mark on the steel floor. Her name was Shar-Rik, but no one used it anymore. In the files, she was just Unit 7A of the Cover Shadow Line, a genetically tuned instrument of flawless elimination. Trained from hatchling years to kill without pause, she had been deployed across 6 systems across snowstorms, sandstorms, gas clouds, and vacuum. Always one target, always one clean kill, and then silence again. The mission data arrived in her neural relay, and she froze. For the first time since her service had begun, the file was different, not in its urgency nor in the fee offered by the mysterious client, who signed only as Cold Ember, but because of the image, the dossier, projected into her vision. It was a woman of Earth, brown skin, dark hair, eyes that held pain and strength in equal measure, cradling a child, swaddled in blankets of green and cream. The name beside the image read Mira Lang, civilian status, former engineer, refugee status, pending, and then below, in deep red, priority level Omega, kill with discretion, do not fail. Shar-Rik studied the image longer than protocol. Aloud, she had never missed, she had never doubted, and she never cared. Before now, the jump gate spat her ship into the orbit of Class 3 colony world Travessa, a blue-green sphere, far from Earth's grave, orbiting a sun the galactic cartographers barely bothered to name. It was the kind of place humans ran to after the fall. After Earth was lost in war and greed and fire, Travessa's surface was scarred from old mining colonies. But its northwestern plate held forests and water and refugee camps, tight clusters of domes where humans tried to remember home. The target was last spotted near Settlement 12, a makeshift cluster of prefabs ringed with solar wire and desperation. Shar-Rik landed at dusk, the ship buried under auto camouflage, before she stepped into air thick with pollen and the scent of life. It annoyed her. She preferred sterile halls and silent targets. Mira Lang's file claimed she had no combat experience, no allies, no weapon training. And yet Shar-Rik had seen her eyes in that still image, eyes that had survived. She moved through the camp like shadow, her adaptive armor flickering with soft distortion as she watched from rooftops and vents. Mira was not hiding. She taught children mechanical logic. With sticks in the dirt, she cooked, she repaired broken panels, and when an elder coughed, Mira brought soup and herbs with worn fingers that never trembled. Shar-Rik observed this for 3 days. A kill window opened again and again, but her hand did not move the rifle. Her programming whispered orders, but her instincts hesitated. The woman was not a soldier, not a threat, not the usual mark. So why the bounty? Why the warning? The 4th night brought a storm. Wind howled through the camp, tearing tarps and stirring fear, and in that chaos, Mira took the child and left no one knew where. Shar-Rik watched her slip into the forest path at the base of the ridge beyond the river. A child no older than 6 clung to Mira's back, and something else shimmered at her side. A blade, old and ceremonial, human in design, but sharp. The assassin followed without sound, using trees as cover, calculating paths of interception. But again, she delayed. She watched Mira kneel beside a moss-cracked ruin, whispering words into the stone walls. Then she uncovered a hidden cache, a small transmitter, and a vial of something glowing gold. Mira destroyed the transmitter with a rock and hid the vial in her bag. Shar-Rik's mind surged. Protocol violation, anomaly threat. Her weapon rose and aligned across the clearing. Mira turned, eyes meeting the scope as if she knew, and then, without panic, she held up her hand. No weapon, no plea, just a look that said, "I see you, understand you, do what you must." Shar-Rik fired, but something shook her wrist, and the beam cracked the bark beside Mira's arm. Mira flinched and ran deeper into the trees. Shar-Rik blinked. Her scope was clean, her path clear, but the shot had missed. And for the first time, she whispered aloud, "Why?" She retreated that night into the ship, tearing off her helm and biting down on her own glove to stop the scream. Something was wrong. She replayed the scene over and over, trying to isolate the tremor in her wrist, but there was none. Sherrick was not built to miss. Her code was not written to allow it. She accessed her core drive, and what she saw was not lines of order, but strands of memory. A file unlocked a forbidden record buried since youth. The truth. Mira Lang was not a stranger. Mira Lang had held her once before the augmentation, before the labs, before the machine soldiers. Mira Lang was her mother. Sherrick had been taken from Earth at age 3, reclassified as a salvageable asset, her memory wiped, her body restructured and her blood rewritten to serve. But the DNA did not lie. Mira Lang's file had the same markers, the same scar code on the left wrist given by old Earth medics. They were linked by blood, and now by fate. She had nearly killed her mother because someone wanted the truth erased. And now she had a choice. She could flee and forget, or turn and protect. She emerged from the trees, no longer cloaked. Mira saw her and froze. The child clung to her tighter, and Sherrick slowed her steps, arms empty, mask off, face bare. "Mira," whispered Sherrick, but the name was not accusation, it was sorrow. And Sherrick said, "I remember you, Ankh." And Mira nodded, eyes wet, saying, "Prayed you might." And then they moved. They ran through wild paths, between broken satellites and fallen towers. Mira led the way, always looking back for her daughter, for Sherrick. And in that chase, the assassins came. Not one, not two, but a squad sent by Cold Ember, the true masters of the Shadowline. They had no names, only designations like her. But without hesitation, without doubt, they opened fire on sight, and Sherrick moved first, deflecting blasts, lifting Mira behind rock and soil, and striking with a knife made of alien bone. Her old squad saw her turn, and did not pause. They fought in silence, but Sherrick moved like wind, like vengeance, like blood, remembering purpose that was never theirs to define. And when the final body fell broken at the foot of the old Earth satellite, Mira touched Sherrick's face and whispered, "My child, you return." They buried the old name that night in flames that lit the forest sky. The child asleep in Mira's arms, and Sherrick watching the stars. Mira asked, "What now?" And Sherrick answered, "I am no longer Unit 7, I am no longer property. I am no longer theirs. I am yours. If you'll have me." And Mira nodded and wept without shame. The next morning Sherrick carved into the wall of the ruin a new number. 94 dead. She paused, then scratched it out. She etched a new number. 95. Not a kill, a death, but a life. She saved. And from that day onward, the Shadowline would whisper of the assassin who vanished, the one who failed, the one who missed her mark. They would say she betrayed her code, but they would never find her. They would never understand that some targets are not meant to die. Some are meant to wake you up and show you who you were before. They took everything and called it training.